Here's the deal, guys. I believe unforgiveness can keep you physically sick. So if you have chronic health challenges of any sort, you need to listen up. I'm Brooklyn Hannah. This is Limbic System Rewire. Please subscribe if you have not already. Okay, so let's get into it. How do you find the strength to forgive someone when everything inside you wants to just really hold on to that grudge and hold on to that pain? You want to seek revenge, and so how do you do that? To answer that question, we must first understand why we don't want to let it go. What's holding you back? Why do you find it easier to just hold on to that pain than being without it? So first off, what is forgiveness? Many people mistake forgiveness for the absence of pain, and that's really not what it is. So I've seen people hesitate to forgive because they think it means accepting the other person. It means accepting their mistakes and telling them it's okay to keep doing that to me when it's really not. Or because they think it allows the offender back into their life and they need to become best friends or something like that. But forgiving someone does not mean that the pain they caused by their actions will just necessarily disappear right away and never come up again. Forgiveness also does not equal reconciliation. So God's instruction to forgive does not imply that you have to resume a relationship with that person who hurt you, thereby giving them more chances to hurt you again. Sometimes there needs to be boundaries. I get it. Forgiveness is just about releasing your own anger, your thoughts towards them, changing your perspective, because let's be honest, if you have negative thoughts towards someone about something they did to you, whether it was last week or a year ago or 7 years ago, you likely have not forgiven them in your own heart. So it's really not going to benefit you. It's only going to hurt yourself if you do not forgive that other person. And it's so funny because some people, I shouldn't say it's funny, but some people, when I work with them, they're still ruminating on something that happened like 20 years ago, and I'm going, and that person's forgot about it. They've moved on. They're probably out there happy living their life. Why are you still suffering by ruminating on something someone else did a long time ago? And so it's really about letting go of those negative thoughts towards them, letting go. And the more you let go of those negative thoughts, the more you're going to be happy emotionally. And why do I say that? Because our thoughts lead to our emotions. So if we're not happy, we need to look at our thoughts. And a lot of times it's because we're ruminating negatively on a certain person, place, thing, in this situation, a person. And so we have to let that go. We have to have that even if attitude, being like, you know what, even if that person did something to me, I can still see them in love. And having that move on attitude also, and this is what we teach all the time in our program, moving on when someone hurts you, right? Just kind of shifting your perspective, shifting your focus off that trigger so you can live your life full of health and happiness. And so we want to get rid of bitterness, anger, resentment, unforgiveness. It's going to keep you sick, guys. It literally revs up your fight, flight, or freeze response, causing you to have physical health challenges. And so why is it so difficult, right? Despite having that assurance, it's not easy to find forgiveness in your heart. I don't blame you. I understand that. And when someone wrongs you or makes a mistake, you want to protect yourself from that hurt again, and you kind of just build this wall so it never happens again. It's the same story with people who cannot forgive themselves, right? They have this guilt about maybe past sins and they beat themselves up, and really just for no reason, because God forgives you when you trust in Him. You're a Christian, you believe in Him, He forgives you. You can move on. You don't have to be guilty. Guilt is from the enemy, and so is negative thinking towards other people. So we've got to change perspectives and get away from that. All because of course, I'm a brain wiring coach, and a lot of it's because of your mental, emotional, and spiritual, and even physical health, guys. This is only going to help you. And so stop building up walls against other people and beating yourself up. Dissociate from those negative thoughts, those emotions, to avoid facing pain yourself, all right? So while you build these walls, it may provide temporary relief, right? It may ultimately lead to isolation, though, and prevents you from actually getting over this and growing, right? It may disconnect you from God as you're just in that place of negativity. And that wall may block out painful memories, sure, emotions, but it also blocks your peace from God and God's love. The Bible tells us, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you don't forgive men of their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." Simply put, if you cannot find it in your heart to forgive others and yourself, God can't forgive you, right? Even if he could, at that moment, you have a hardened heart so much that forgiveness won't even make a difference. So why is it so important? Why am I even talking about this, right? Forgiveness helps release those negative thoughts and emotions and reduce the physiological effects of stress on your body. And when we hold a grudge against someone who has wronged us, it can cause us to experience chronic stress and worsen health problems. So I'm talking it weakens immune system, it raises your blood pressure, it causes decreased concentration and just brain fog and low energy. And so we got to get out of that space of negativity. Forgiving our offenders can help us release all of that negativity, leading to a reduction of stress and improvement of your physical health, especially if you have chronic health challenges. This is going to be key. It improves our existing relationships. It improves just your perspective on past relationships. So really you can live a life full of peace and remain and live as Christ would and look at others in love as God did, right? And does today. So holding on to resentment can strain our relationships with those around us, even those who mean well to us. Sometimes it's actually our own perspectives, right? Sometimes we create in our mind this negative association to someone and have all these negative thoughts towards someone because maybe we assumed something and we misperceived what someone said to us. And we take one little thing someone said to us and we blow it out of proportion. We ruminate on it, blow it out of proportion, and then the next day we decide we just don't like that person, we avoid them, we're mean to them, whatever it is. It then affects our behaviors, and before we know it, we're not living a godly life. We're not living as God calls us to live. But when we forgive, we open ourselves up to better communication, deeper connections, increased just social support, greater sense of emotional being. It improves our physical health. It connects us to God because that's how he wants us to live. So how can we take our first steps to forgive those who have wronged us, even when we feel angry, maybe? So I want you to recall the words in Matthew 5:7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. First and foremost, we must trust God to deal with those people who have hurt us, right? Forgiveness is an act of faith that requires us to relinquish control and trust that God's going to handle them. I mean, whether they're mean to you again or not, that's on them. We can't control how other people respond and act and treat us. All you can control is your perspective and how you're going to treat other people and how you're going to think about other people. And so doing this, really just giving it to God, praying for that other person, not only releases us from the burden of carrying around those negative emotions, but also prevents that person from committing the same thing over and over again, potentially. Another thing you can do, which is probably more difficult, like I said, is to pray for that person. Praying for the offender shows God that we've truly forgiven them and for their mistake, and we wish the best for them. That really pleases God. And so not only will God bless them, he will bring you peace and contentment, right? And the last thing you can do is to let go of your negative emotions, is really to just not ruminate on it, not mull over them, right? I know that sometimes we are overcome with hatred for the person and we hope the worst for them. And we want to go gossip and tell all of our friends and family and just make them, just push them into the ground, right? Because they did it to you. It's almost like this revenge thing. And we shouldn't do that either. It's like we kind of just need to keep our mouth shut. It's between you and God, and do that as well, because we know that gossiping and all of that is not going to please God either. And so we really don't want to criticize one another. We want to lift each other up. Like if you have nothing nice to say, whether it's to the person or behind their back, don't say it, right? God's listening. That person might not be listening, but God is. And that's who we're called to please. So it's clearly laid out in James 4:11. Don't criticize one another, brothers and sisters. Anyone who defames or judges a fellow believer defames and judges the law. So another thing you can do is just think of all the positive memories that you have with this person. Sometimes we're so quick to point out the one negative thing they said to you or the one negative wrong. And we forget about all the positive memories you had. Yeah, that was a one little time, but what about the positive memories? How can you create a positive association with that person and have a positive perspective about them? So flip the script in your mind from the negative to the positive, write down their positive qualities. And it is so powerful to do that. So forgiveness, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's crucial for our relationship with Christ, for our well-being. And so closing ourselves off, building a wall, holding a grudge, having resentment and bitterness and anger and shutting them down and talking bad about them behind their back, that is just making us a slave to the enemy. It's denying God's love and peace and forgiveness. He gives us the ability and the power to forgive other people like Christ forgave us. And so why hold on to it? Or why ruminate on it? Why turn it into something that's going to destroy your health physically, spiritually, emotionally? And so learning to forgive, it helps us just stay healthy, fulfilling God's connections and God's abundance. And we know that the enemy is the divider. Is God the one who divides people and other Christians from other Christians? No. It's the enemy. If everybody acted godly and in love, nobody would fight. But it's because of sin that two people fight. And so even if people are mean to you or negative to you, doesn't mean you have to be negative back. You might be tempted to because the enemy is tempting you to, but it doesn't mean you have to. And so guys, if you're struggling mentally, emotionally, physically with chronic health challenges, whether it's brain fog, food sensitivities, digestive problems, sleep problems, go ahead and book a free call with our team so we can talk about getting you on a plan, getting you on just a new trajectory in life so you can break free from all that and so you can experience God's love and live a life full of just fulfillment. Go ahead and click the link below to book a free call with our team. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.